homeschooling. So we've been, well, I say we, I think all the emails have been going to the House members. It's a House bill, and we haven't started getting the emails yet in the Senate. So Idaho has, we are recognized as one of the best states in the nation for homeschool freedom in our republic, right? And it's something that the three of us and many other legislators feel passionate about protecting. So Idaho doesn't have a requirement to register. You don't have to notify your local school district that you're homeschooling. There's no, really, you the parent have that responsibility, and we recognize that right and responsibility as a state, and we don't interfere. This bill doesn't change that. So there's kind of a twofold concern. So to apply for the scholarship side, you would have had to have been enrolled in public school. So like my kids who've been in Nampa Christian are not eligible, and they won't ever be eligible because I'm not going to move them. So if you've been a homeschooling family all along, you can apply for the grant, but not the scholarship. So there's kind of the two components there. But again, it's all voluntary. We're not making anyone apply or not apply for the funding. And there's still, regardless of which side you might apply for or use, there isn't a requirement in the bill for, specific curriculum or what you have to teach your kids. That's still up to you, the parent. So.
Okay. Shifting gears to property tax relief. What are the discussions? What are the discussions on how to provide that?
Excuse me.
And
I'm sorry to interject, but could you actually read that whole card? Because there was some information that people might want to be aware of.
the property tax,
No, the card pertaining to that bill. If you could just actually read that whole card.
well, I'm only asking questions, not actually reading off statements. But all of the cards will go to the legislator so that we can have answers to questions.
Okay.
So we're switching gears to property tax relief. What are the discussions on how to provide that?
My turn. So there's essentially, there's three revenue sources that governments collect from everybody, and that's sales tax, income tax, and property tax. Kind of a three-legged stool, if you will. Property tax, especially in this valley, is a huge deal. Not so much outside the state. I mean, outside this valley, it's really not. A little bit in eastern Idaho, but for the most part, this is a localized phenomenon where we're seeing, I don't know about you, but I'm, 20-30% increases year after year, not sustainable. And that's a problem. We're getting people who are priced out of their homes simply because the property tax is going up. So last year, I know I had 2 property tax relief bills, and John had one, and he had, anyway, different options, dealing with different aspects of how to fix that. Some of it was just simply sending money back. That's one way that we can help reduce your property tax bills by just sending you money. Before I go too much more on property tax, I need to say something here, and some people don't like to hear this. Property tax is not a state problem. We didn't create that problem. We don't collect 1 penny from property tax. Not 1 penny comes to the state for property tax. This is all either from bonds and levies that the citizens have voted for, or cities and counties, or other taxing districts, smaller ones, cemetery districts, all of those things. That's where it comes from. Okay, so then the question is, what do you want the state to do about that? Now we can do things, and we have done things. One of the things that we did a number of years ago, back in the 90s, is we put a cap on the budgets on how much they could grow at the city level, 3% cap. That worked for a while until they kind of reinterpreted how that could work. And new construction, urban renewal, all were able to go on to increase those budgets. So what we've seen is budgets increase not just by 3%, we've been seeing budgets increasing by significantly more than that, hence why you are seeing 15% increase in your property taxes. So from a state standpoint, we can do a few things. We can make the budgets go down or limit them, which is an option for us, or we can try to replace that money with something else. I mean, that's how we can do it, because again, these are a lot of times they're voted upon. If you're living in West Ada School District, if you look at your property tax bill, you'll see a whole lot of West Ada levies on that. And I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying those are voted upon by the citizens and they're willing to pay for those things because that's what they vote for. So again, you know, what is the state supposed to do about those things? You know, I don't know. What we can do though, we can look at limitations on those budgets. We can also look at kind of replacing and transferring some of those functions to the state. Limitations on the budgets, there's been several proposals this year. We had an interim committee that kicked out some that didn't end up making it, you know, beyond the first of the session. There's a current one that Senator Rice has got that has some that it helps restrict how much of that new growth goes on to the levy rates. When we get new construction, so there's this value associated with it. All these new houses, right? They come into the valley, and there's a certain value associated with it. You've seen these subdivisions pop up next to you. You add up all the value of those houses, and it's millions of dollars, right? Well, that millions of dollars, you take last year's levy rate, and you multiply it by that value, and that's additional excess money that now the budgets can grow by that much, the cities and counties. And you can see how that can be a huge problem. If you look at the state's budget over the last 20 years, on what the state's done with our budget, it's grown. No lies, it's grown at this level. So has population and so has inflation. So when you take population and inflation and you add them together and you look at those two lines, they're actually really spot on. It's really kind of neat. Even watching decreases when we did, you know, tax relief or anything else. And so the state's budget has maintained pretty well with population growth and then factor in inflation. If you look at budgets for cities and counties, it does not follow that trend. It goes about twice that. So they're growing their budgets much faster. That's where the state feels like we've got to step in a little bit and help address some of those budgets so that they don't continue to grow at that rate because it's not sustainable. Now the other thing that we can do, homeowners exemption, people talk about that all the time. I just want to remind how homeowners exemption will work. Let's say we have $100 worth of value, your house, and you're the only house in this taxing district, right? And so we have a levy rate because we need to generate, you know, $10, and so we're going to have a levy rate to generate the $10. What if I exempt half of your house? Right? Everybody like, ooh, that's great, we exempt half of your house. Where's the rest of that money going to come from? It's still going to come from your house. It transfers it to the other side of your house that's not protected. So if I take away half of your value of everybody's house, it's going to go to the other side of your house. It's also going to go to ag, and it's also going to go to commercial. That's a shift. And so it's not reducing any budgets, it's just shifting it to somebody else. And again, the best tax out there is the guy hiding behind the tree. That's kind of what everybody thinks. Yeah. I have to be quiet. I'll be quiet now.
We're going to go to the lightning round because it's 8:29.
Okay, I will just real briefly on that. We do have other proposals.
Moderator. Okay, go ahead.
We do have some other proposals to help reduce on the property tax besides those options that we're looking at transferring some funds or functions from counties to the state, so the state actually pays for it, taking it off of the property tax rule. So that's other bill proposals that we're doing. So we are cognitive of it. It's a difficult solution. Sorry for talking so long. I'll be quiet, Valerie.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So 3 questions, and it's got to be fast, and you guys have to pick it up. Let me see. So yeah, has the Senate passed the $24 million coronavirus relief Act for early child care? I found it in here.
Yes, it passed this afternoon.
Okay, and then wrongful conviction. Where's that? There's a bill.
Passed and signed by the government.
Okay, and then,
You're supposed to jump in.
yeah.
He wants to
Jump-
wait.
I know it's a lightning round.
We passed That's way for me to pass the house first.
Yeah, okay, and,
My buzzer out.
yeah, I think that it's.
Come on, a few more.
Oh, I'd love to, but I tell you what we can do afterwards. We're gonna get all of these, and we're gonna ask them to address some of these in their newsletters as well, because 8:30 is the hard
Easier
thing.
just to say it.
I know.
Yeah,
Okay,
write
can
it
you
all
see
out,
the
yeah.
stack?
Yes.
I've gone through about half, and then some of them
You can
are.
do a Facebook
yeah.
Live. You can put yourself.
And I know there's some other people that had some questions that they didn't get fully answered, so I think we're gonna still be able to have 10 minutes. said?
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
To just,
Well, we have to
you
Go
know,
get a cookie.
before we boot you
No.
out.
Okay.
But we do want to thank everybody for attending and all of the volunteers and again for the Kuna Counseling Center for opening this up for the civic. Hi.
So you're going back?
All right, stay in or out. Thanks, it's speaking. Yeah. But anyway, for the civic support, and thank you guys for coming. I know you had
Thank you.
previous meetings and committees, and everybody coming out. Now, this is the biggest town hall that I've seen recently, which is really great, but I do want to remind everybody, we have town halls in Meridian with a variety of Meridian legislators every Wednesday night. You can sign up for that on Eventbrite. So that's another avenue. And if you want invitations for that, then you can sign up with the maybe the tallest guy in the back, Brian Merrill. He can tell you how to do that. And these guys also have newsletters, each one of them different. So if you want to sign up for those newsletters, you can do that on Facebook. If you're not on there, then see the lovely lady in the back in the red who's going to stand up right now. She's going to stand up right now. All right, and she'll tell you how to do that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Well done. Show up. Yes.
So I just want to comment, again, thank the counseling center here and Jim Grace for opening it up for us. He's also provided a few refreshments.
Oh,
If you would like a cookie or another water before you
Okay.
go, over here in
Thank
the
you.
hallway.
I'll actually go put a glove on and use tongs.
Most of us
What
don't
part of your
care.
question did I miss? I'm happy